Thank you. I feel like Madonna with this. My name is Sabina Keric. I come from Belgrade, and the name of my organization is Ekonaut. We are maybe young organization because we registered like 2.5 years ago, but I work in this realm of urban ecosystems for some 10 years now, and I will tell you a bit about how it came all about and what we're doing now and what we're doing with Swedish Institute and Food for Tomorrow and how it all started. This is what we stand for, this is what we advocate for. We are registered as a citizens association, but we also function as a social enterprise. This basically means that we have these skills and services that we can provide for profit. So we are registered to do landscaping, and we often have corporate clients that we also, sometimes we do decorations that is also sustainable, but our main goal is to create sustainable and creative open public spaces, to use public spaces in a way that is beneficial to all and to have public participation in this same, because today in Serbia and in Balkans in general, people are not being asked what they want in their backyards, and they should be. So we are especially worried about needs of the children in urban planning in public space, so this is something that we are trying to put in a public space, to talk to people about, and through our projects in different way to promote. One of our goals, actually practical promotion that we do is to show different formats how we can grow plants in urban and suburban areas, and this is some of the formats you can see here. So there is a lot of things we can do and use even if we don't have enough soil, and also of course if we cannot grow something that is edible, we can grow something that is ornamental and, you know, good for the eye also. So some 10 years ago with some friends who are from landscaping and from media, we started this Belgrade Flower Festival as an annual event that was happening in park in Belgrade, and it was a multimedia event where we had different zones, a commercial zone where we had the nurseries from Belgrade selling different ornamental plants. We had children's zone. We had a lot of lectures. We had installations. So we were working with a lot of people who were in realm of horticulture, landscape architecture, education, and many others. So you can see this is like from different years. This was happening in the park or in some other small places where we could like have this pop-up festivals. And then through this work with different people, we wanted to showcase what is it that we talk about. We talked a lot about community gardening, but in Belgrade the community gardening is kind of illegal. Actually, we learned that in Belgrade, some hundred hectares is being used for, actually spotted by people for this purpose, and basically nobody was talking about it or putting it in some kind of system, and we realized that we cannot get state-owned property, so if we wanted to have our own small plot, we actually should do something different. So we found a small plot, some 12 kilometers from the center of the city. Belgrade has a very favorable position, has this green ring around it where you can farm a lot, and a lot of food comes from the surrounding of Belgrade. But it's also very, Belgrade is very also polluted, and those small farmers, they use a lot of pesticides. so you don't have organic farming around Belgrade. So we found this small plot, which was completely neglected. Actually, when we entered, it was completely full of different species we didn't want. So it was a struggle to, liberate it and make it into this. But it also was a struggle because we didn't have enough water, and also it was like this. It was not like we had much of idea how long we can do this, because it was an initiative of few people. We started very modestly. A couple of us, a couple of friends, just wanted to test our possibility to do this in Belgrade. So we found people who gave us this land. We signed kind of a lease they gave us for free because we were clearing the plot. And we started this in 2013, and then kind of rolled off. A lot of people started to come to us to see what we are doing. So we had a good promotion. Also, media were interested in this story because it was kind of new for Belgrade, and it kind of rolled off. But since this place didn't have water, this presented a great problem. So I found another plot in the area which is more favorable, but this had a problem because it was a city-owned place. So we were able to kind of do this for 2 years there, but unfortunately we couldn't get this piece of land legally. We could squat it, but this was not the point of it. And in the end, we realized that this farm we were trying to make, actually, we tried to make something as this farm we were talking today, Rosenthal, a showcase where people could come and learn about organic farming in the city, especially local farmers in Belgrade, that we should postpone this idea and project that is too large for us. Actually, you have to know, when to stop and actually maybe wait a bit to in the future to start something like this again. But not all failures are bad. Sometimes from the failure you can learn, and this opened a new door for us. I'll talk a bit later about that. So actually, we had to give up this land this year and wait for some maybe better days. So during the Belgrade Flower Festival, we realized that public spaces are not very well adjusted to children, and that actually children in public space are not thought of as important users. So we started to do more research about that, and that led us to a Swedish institute actually. And we started this project with colleagues. Magdalena is here tonight. She's a landscape architect and she works for the city. She then and other colleague Shira, they were our partners in this, and we came to Sweden to study and to learn more about what places for children should look like, how they should be organized, and what's their purpose in the urbanism. So after we came back to Belgrade, we started working on the prototypes. We had different workshops with young professionals from landscape and architecture. So we wanted to make something practical in the public space. But then we realized if we make something in a public space, it's too exposed and it won't last too long. The problem is also how to maintain that, who will keep it. So in the end, we realized it's better that we work with school and to have really a place where we can showcase that, and that somebody will take care of it and that kids would use it. So we teamed up with school, which is in part of the Belgrade called Zemun. And this school is school for kids with autism, kids that have hearing problems, different sensory problems. So when we thought and developed this project with the staff of that school, we realized that we have to somehow encourage their senses, and this is what is important for them to learn. And this is, for example, the first render of this vision the architect had for the place, and this is how it looks now. We made some eatable beds where kids can taste, where kids can touch different plants, so where they can hear things. We made like natural obstacles they have, so they can learn, they can also play, but they can relax and explore in this environment which is not too stressful for them. The other garden that I'm very proud of is this garden that we made. Actually, you can call it a terrace in the center of Belgrade at co-working place, which something is this place we are now, and it's the first creative hub in the Balkans, where a lot of creative people come to work, to give lectures or just network. And 3 years ago, I've been asked to help with this garden. Actually, this is how it looked before we came in. Actually, it was a plot of land between, like a pocket between two streets on a slope, where people were throwing trash and rubble for like decades. When we started digging, we found a horseshoe coin from 1935. So it was like an archaeology excavation project at the same time. And this also is a bit elevated, so it was a challenge to take off this rubble and to bring fresh soil. So now this is how it looks like. We were able to plant a lot of plants that are attracting different insects that have nice smell. It's also very sensory. It also gives a lot of sensory. You can play there, you can relax, you can meditate, and you can also network with other people, you know. And from this networking with people who work there, came about project I will talk a bit later, this our Be Connected project, because over there we had support from Nova Iskra and our colleagues from Happy Honey, and together we came up with this idea on the workshop in Skopje. And what is also important in this garden is that we attracted some insects that we never expected to. For example, I learned that this butterfly I took photo last year. This is like endangered species, and the place where this garden is in the center of the city, close to the city bus station, it is very polluted in a way, in many ways, like visually, with smog, a lot of traffic. And then you come up and you come into this green space. It's really like liberating, and then you basically have a breath of fresh air. So another project that we had this year was this floating edible garden on Danube River, close to Big War Island. It's also very close to the city, but it's like a nature reserve, very, very close. We actually made 4 of these and filled it with these eatable plants. And this smaller raft is close to the big raft, where offices of creative agency Creative Unlimited are. and they were our first client who took beehives from our Bee Connected project. And also one thing that I work a lot is this on the side from Ekonaut is Greenet. It's a network of professionals that work in landscaping. So this is something as a startup we are doing right now. We are trying basically to create this online shop where Serbian nurseries can put up their products and offer it to professionals in landscape architecture. Because like I said, Serbia has a very favorable position to have a lot of production of this kind of ornamental plants, but we are still importing a lot of it. So we can produce a lot of this annual seasonal plants, but basically we don't have like tall trees or trees you can use in alleys and things like that. So this is what we are doing now. We are trying to make this network of professionals and in a way support Serbian nurseries to make more plant materials that are in a way in a quality way more favorable, and in a lot of ways nurseries have different standards. They don't have same standards like in European Union, but they want to export to European Union. So what we are doing now, we have workshops for them, and we are also online trying to make them see why this kind of project is needed. So let me go back to the story about Ekonaut and Be Connected. 2 years ago, we went to the workshop in Skopje for Food for Tomorrow, and over there with the different people we brainstorm what we can do about food systems, and we realized that bees are practically something that nothing can replace, and they are so important that if they go for some reason they vanish, we are gone also. Our complete food system will collapse, and we cannot repair it. So we were thinking, what is the small thing everybody can do to save bees, and how we can make people realize what's the importance of the bees, especially because I think we forgot about it. We learned it in school somehow, remember flowers, bees, but I don't think anybody realizes recently how they are important, and we hear now and then that they are collapsing, that there is a lot of bees who are endangered, but due to, of course, climate change, due to a lot of parasites, and we decided that in Belgrade there is a lot of potential to do something about it, especially because through Belgrade Flower Festival I met this guy, Slađan Simonović, who is a professional beekeeper and who is also saving wild bees in Belgrade. Like in Belgrade, who is very urbanized, very polluted, you have a lot of wild bees living in the cracks of the buildings, and a lot of time he needs to go and climb the trees or the buildings to take those bees and remove them, because of course people don't want them in their apartments. And he's also, of course, producer of honey. And this is also my colleague Miljan from Nova Iskra, who also helped make Be Connected a reality. So together we formed this school of beekeeping, and we also created a campaign that we had this year. This also couldn't be done without the help of Swedish Embassy in Belgrade, and the ambassador, who was also very kind to let us his residency last year, where we had the public presentation, and we invited people from media, people from companies that have some kind of social responsibility programs. We also invited some agencies to do advertising, and one of these agencies said, "This is perfect with us, for us. We want this to become. We want it to become first agency that has bees on the roof." And we said, "Okay, let's do it. We are ready." So together with them, we made this campaign possible. They did all press releases. They helped us contact the media, and it really went very, very well. We also created this list of 100 plants that that can feed the bees. So everybody can choose from 100 different plants, whether they have small plot, terrace, or maybe a great garden, and whether they are small plants or big trees, they can choose from them and in a way attract bees and help them survive. Basically, we killed the food for the bees with monoculture agriculture. Andrea told a lot about that. So we are trying to make more food for the bees to save them. And I have a few copies there. If you're interested, you can take some. So the Creativa agency also built a small museum, which was also very interested about, it was museum from the future, how it will look like in 100 years if we don't have bees anymore. So they put different kind of fruits and vegetables that will be gone if we lose the bees. And over here you can see how the apiary that we made, the beehives that we put on the roof of their agency. Of course, people that work in the agency were not that pleased that we put beehives over there. So they were a bit scared when they heard that their owner wanted the apiary over there. So, but after one weekend, we put the bees there. They didn't even notice. They didn't know. We told them after 10 days. and nobody got bitten. Nobody noticed the bees. So they even made this nice logo that we use now as a trademark of what we are doing now. And as the crown of this project this year was our beekeeping school. It was a public call for this school, and we were very, very surprised how many people applied. Actually, we were aiming to have 10 attendees, but there were like 65 people applying, and in one moment we stopped advertising because we couldn't take all them in consideration. We had to choose and to have interviews with them to see if they are motivated enough, because it was very important for us to take people who would have some future with bees. For example, what would they do after they finish the course? So what is also interesting was that there were more men who applied for these 10 positions, but we realized after interviews that women for some reason were better candidates. They were more determined, they have better plan what will they do later. So you can mostly see girls around hives. The only thing, of course, the problem is they are not strong enough, because you have to, if hives are full of honey, it's a labor. But there is a lot of women beekeepers in Serbia, and they manage. Sometimes they, of course, will help other women or stronger men. But this was very interesting and gave us hope that this is a good thing that we are doing. We were at this point. We were talking to a lot of medias. We really got a good positive media feedback. A lot of releases was made, and in the end we took 16 people instead of 10, and 12 people in the end finished, got their B diploma. And yes, and in the end, to motivate them, we had a small sponsorship with the beehive and a swarm of bees. So this lady will start next spring first beehive. And I hope that next year we will have more people in the school and that we will have more campaigning. We are now developing what exactly we're going to do next year, because we want to target more people and to target more issues connected with bees, and to involve as much stakeholders as we can. So thank you for your attention.